My brother shoved my wheelchair. I hit the floor to family laughter. Then silent Uncle Ben's voice cut through their cruel mirth. This isn't family, it's sick. Laughter died, replaced by suffocating silence. Those 5 words shattered their charade, propelling me onto a painful, powerful new path and a chilling understanding. The day my own brother shoved me out of my wheelchair, I thought my life was over. He called me a liar, a con artist, and my family just laughed. But they had no idea who was standing silently behind them, ready to expose their cruelty and change everything. It was our annual family gathering, a backyard barbecue, the kind with country music blaring and the smell of burgers on the grill. I was just trying to get some fresh air. Then, out of nowhere, Luke, my older brother, was there. His face was red, contorted with what looked like righteous rage. Before I could even react, he pushed me hard. My wheelchair went flying, tipping on its side a few feet away, one while still spinning slowly in the July heat. I slammed onto the sun-baked concrete patio, the impact sending a sharp, searing agony up my back, twisting my right leg at a grotesque angle. The world tilted sideways. I didn't black out, but everything swirled like I was drunk, even though I hadn't touched the beer cooler. My head hit, then my shoulder, then my hand, scraping them raw. Gravel dug into my left palm, tiny garnets of blood pooling around it. Above me, Luke stood, 2 beers clutched in his hand, chest heaving. He bellowed, loud enough for the neighbors 3 houses down to hear. Stop faking for attention, everyone! Get up, Jordan. Everyone's watching. It's time to end the act. And then, the worst part, 45 people were staring. Some were laughing. Some were filming. My family. They just watched. The reunion went on as if I were just a fallen piece of lawn furniture. Someone even turned up the country music. A child chased a wiffle ball nearby. All I could taste was the coppery tang of my own blood where I'd bitten my tongue, mixed with the char of barbecue and freshly cut grass. I tried to move, to motivate myself, but my arms trembled, useless. My body screamed in protest. I'd learned to cope with this kind of suffering over the last 2 years, the kind that makes the edges of your vision go white. Look at him. Luke sneered, turning to our gathered family, playing prosecutor to his rapt audience. This is his argument concluded. He's been milking this wheelchair thing for 1.5 years, ever since that accident no one actually witnessed. From the crowd, my mom's voice, shaky and unsure, barely audible. I was there, Luke. It was the voice of someone worn down by countless family gatherings just like this. Luke scoffed. You found him at the bottom of the stairs, Mom. That's not the same as witnessing it. The crowd began to whisper. Agreement? Consideration? That makes sense, doesn't it? Then my cousin Caleb, 23, who still lived with his parents and worked at Best Buy, stepped forward. Dude, I saw him walking at the Jewel-Osco last month, in the cereal aisle. Heads nodded. The whispering grew louder. From the ground, my voice came out smaller, weaker than I wanted. That's physical therapy. I told everyone about Rush's outpatient program. Luke cut me off. He kicked my wheelchair. The aluminum frame rang like a bell. Meanwhile, you've been collecting disability checks, living in Mom's basement rent-free, playing video games, ordering DoorDash on her credit card, living the dream while the rest of us work for a living. His face was inches from mine now. I could smell the barbecue sauce and alcohol on his breath. Because I can't work. I choked out. Because you won't work, he yelled back. Suddenly, Uncle Michael, Dad's younger brother, who sold insurance and drove a Lexus and always talked about personal responsibility, pulled out his Samsung Galaxy. He held it up, pointed squarely at me, like he was recording a crime scene. I'm recording this, he declared, his voice firm. We've all been enabling this behavior for too long. It's time someone stood up for the truth. No one stepped forward to help. Not my mom, wringing her hands near the picnic table. Not Aunt Rachel, who had planned this whole reunion and insisted I come. Not Grandma, fanning herself with a paper plate, watching me like a bad TV show. I tried again, my voice trembling. The doctor said. Luke cut me off, laughing, playing to the audience. The doctor said maybe. Maybe you'll walk again. Maybe it's permanent. Maybe. You've been dining out on maybe for a year and a half while Mom bankrupts herself trying to fix you. He does look awfully comfortable in that chair, Grandma added, loud enough for everyone to hear. Like he's been practicing. I'm in it 12 hours a day by choice. I yelled. Luke reached into my jacket pocket, where my wallet had fallen out when I landed. He held it up like evidence. See this disability card? $750 a month. Plus, Mom pays for everything else. Rent, food, medical supplies, special equipment. I have medical bills. My throat tightened, my hand shook. Luke threw my wallet at me. It struck my chest, falling open, my old driver's license photo staring up. Me, standing unsupported, smiling for the DMV camera. The gravy train ends today, Jordan. Right here, right now. A smattering of applause broke out from the crowd. Luke actually clapped, like he'd just finished a rousing speech in a sports movie. Mom finally came forward, her voice lacking conviction. Luke, that's enough. She wasn't giving directions, she was asking permission. Luke's tone softened, turning tenderly to her. No, Mom. He's bleeding you dry. Physical therapy 3 times a week? That special equipment? That modified van you bought? You took out a second mortgage for him on a house you've lived in for 30 years. You're 62, and you'll be paying that off until you're 80. Mom's cheeks flushed. She didn't dispute it. I hadn't even known about the second mortgage. I didn't ask her to. I cried out. Luke pointed a finger at me, like a weapon. But you didn't stop her either. You just kept taking, kept bleeding her dry, kept playing the victim while everyone else sacrificed for you. He squatted down, pressing his face close to mine, his voice dropping to a terrifying whisper. Stand up right now, or I'm calling the police for disability fraud, insurance fraud, whatever applies. You'll go to jail, Jordan. And honestly, that might be better for everyone. I can't. My leg throbbed, a searing, white-hot agony that screamed I'd torn something, shifted something, broken something that would cost weeks of therapy, thousands of dollars to fix. Then the chant began. My family. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. 50 voices, maybe more. Neighbors had started to gather. Children filmed on their phones. My Aunt Rachel, the one who'd insisted I come, was leading them, clapping rhythmically like a cheerleader. There was nothing else I could do. I stayed on the ground. It had been 2 years since I'd had full sensation in my right leg, some movements impossible because of the rods in my spine. All of Luke's words, all the brutality, all the charges, all the venom, it came from ignorance. Ignorance and a complete lack of interest and understanding. Every heartbeat sent fresh waves of pain through my leg. Luke grabbed my shirt, yanking me halfway up. I'm done watching you manipulate everyone. You're a liar and a con artist and a... That's my patient. You're assaulting him. The chanting stopped. Everything froze. Luke's grip on my shirt relaxed, but he didn't let go. A man stepped forward from the throng. An Asian man in his mid-50s wearing khakis and a navy polo shirt, wire-rimmed glasses, holding a can of Diet Coke. He looked composed, like he'd been enjoying the show, which I realized with a jolt he had been. Luke dropped me. I hit the concrete again. Who the hell are you? He demanded. The man took a sip of his Diet Coke. Dr. Samuel Hayes. The crowd fell silent. Among other things, he continued, I'm Jordan's orthopedic surgeon. A dog barked 3 yards away. The burgers sizzled on the grill. The country music still played softly from a Bluetooth speaker. I'm also his physical therapist, his pain management specialist, and I consult with his neurologist, Dr. Emily Carter, at Northwestern Memorial. I've been treating Jordan since approximately 47 hours after his accident, 24 months ago. Aunt Rachel let out an anxious chuckle. Shrimp. Well, doctor, you must be very proud. Your patient can apparently walk just fine when nobody's looking. Dr. Hayes grinned. His eyes, however, didn't reach it. Actually, he said, pulling out his iPhone. He held it up. I have something everyone should see. The screen was loaded with X-rays. He zoomed in with 2 fingers. This is Jordan's lumbar spine, specifically his L4 and L5 vertebrae. See these metal rods? 4 of them. And these screws? 14 in total. That's from his spinal fusion surgery, performed by me 14 months ago at Rush University Medical Center. The surgery took 7 hours. The recovery took 6 months. No one spoke. Luke was utterly motionless. Jordan is able to stand during physical therapy sessions because we use a walker to help him gradually educate his body to manage small distances. He can currently move about 47 meters before the nerve damage makes it so painful that he needs to rest immediately. That's about 5 minutes of mobility. After that, the damaged nerves start to fire incorrectly, and he gets what we call neuropathic pain. Imagine someone shocking you with a cattle prod and driving nails into your leg at the same time. He swiped to another image. Here's his sciatic nerve right side. See this dark, injured area here? His right leg has limited proprioception, the sense of where your body is in space, and he is unable to bear a lot of weight for extended periods of time because of irreversible nerve damage from the accident. My cousin Caleb had retreated, vanishing toward the house. The nerve misfires. Sometimes his leg just gives out. No warning. The orthotic brace he wears, the one that costs $3,500 and isn't fully covered by insurance, provides stability, but it's not a cure. There is no cure. This is his life now. Dr. Hayes's voice didn't change its level. It was clinical. He looked straight at Luke, but he was addressing everyone. Every day is painful. Every step is uncertain. Every moment in that wheelchair is a reminder of what he's lost. Dr. Hayes raised his phone higher for everyone to see. Then he swiped once more. This is a video I recorded approximately 7 minutes ago, starting from when I arrived at this lovely family gathering. He hit play. Luke's voice blared from the speaker. Then the chanting, the laughter, the sound of me hitting the concrete. Stop faking for attention. After 30 seconds, Dr. Hayes calmly paused it. I recorded everything. The assault, the verbal abuse, the crowd participation, the public humiliation of a disabled man by his own family. He glanced at Uncle Michael. You're not the only one gathering evidence today. Uncle Michael's hand was visibly trembling. Luke stumbled backward, colliding with the picnic table. We all thought. You thought wrong, Dr. Hayes said, his tone chilling. You didn't think at all. You didn't ask questions. You didn't request medical records. You didn't consult with his doctors. You didn't bother to understand what your brother has been enduring for over a year and a half. You just assumed he was lying because it was easier than accepting that sometimes terrible things happen to good people and there's no one to blame. He knelt beside me with the familiar ease that came from years of patient care. Can you move, Jordan? Seldom. Rate your pain. 1 to 10. 8, I whispered. Perhaps 9. He inspected my leg with soft, expert hands, feeling around the ankle and knee. His face grew serious. He looked up at the frozen throng. Possible ligament damage. We'll need imaging. Someone get his wheelchair now. My mother was the first to move. She brought the chair over, silent tears streaming down her face. Dr. Hayes, with the meticulous accuracy that comes from doing this 1,000 times, helped me back into it. His hands were capable, gentle. The audience remained motionless. Now, several were crying. Most stared at their feet. My grandmother wasn't fanning herself anymore. Dr. Hayes stood up straight, addressing everyone. I came here today because Jordan asked me to, he said, his voice echoing across the yard. He knew this confrontation was coming. He's heard the whispers, seen the looks. His brother has been building to this for months. The Facebook posts questioning his disability, the comments at Christmas, the jokes at Easter about how convenient his condition is. Luke's jaw dropped. No sound came out. Dr. Hayes looked around at all of them. Jordan wanted me here because he knew his family didn't believe him. And he was right. He pulled a business card from his wallet and handed it to Luke. So he asked me, his doctor, his surgeon, the man who cut open his back and installed metal in his spine to keep him from becoming paralyzed, to attend this reunion, to watch, to document. He paused, then pointed to the card. That's my lawyer's contact information. Her name is Jennifer Wu. She's a partner at Kirkland and Ellis. Specializes in disability rights litigation. I'll be filing a police report tomorrow for assault of a disabled person, along with a civil lawsuit for battery, assault, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Luke gazed at the card as if it were a venomous snake. My testimony as his treating physician will be, I suspect, fairly compelling in court. I have complete documentation of his injuries, his surgeries, his therapy progress. I have notes from every appointment. I have the x-rays, the MRIs, the nerve conduction studies. I have a year and a half of medical evidence that proves beyond any doubt that Jordan is disabled. He looked at Uncle Michael. I also have your video, the one you recorded for evidence. I'm grateful for that. It demonstrates a plot to threaten a disabled individual, potentially baseless charges of fraud, harassment of a group. I've added that video to my evidence file. Uncle Michael was gray-faced. Once more, Dr. Hayes spoke to the entire audience. Everyone who took part in that chant is captured on camera. Everyone who chuckled. Everyone who used their phones to record this. Everyone who looked on helplessly as his own brother attacked and degraded a crippled man. He hesitated. This account about a handicapped veteran makes me worry how that will be received in court or on the news. He's not a veteran. Luke started. Army National Guard, 2016 to 2020. Honorable discharge. Dr. Hayes cut him off. Medical records are part of the VA system, which makes this a potential federal case. The smile on Dr. Hayes's face was piercing. Did you know assaulting a disabled veteran can carry enhanced penalties? Jordan requested me to attend this event last week, and I didn't know either, until my lawyer gave me the rundown. Dead quiet. The burgers were blazing on the grill. No one shifted to turn them over. Dr. Hayes handed me my wallet, still on the concrete. Then he grabbed the grips of my wheelchair. We're leaving now, he declared. I will be recording Jordan's visit to the emergency room as an assault-related injury. The civil suit will include the medical bills. He has damage to his orthotic braces. That's $3,500 more. The frame of his wheelchair is bent. Another $2,500. We'll total it up. He began pushing me toward the driveway. Behind us, 45 family members stood in the same circle. Realizing that the nephew they had just humiliated for pretending to be disabled had just filmed all of them committing several felonies. The same people who had yelled for me to stand up, labeled me a liar, and cheered my brother for attacking me. Wait, Luke said, his voice broken. I didn't turn back. Wait, Jordan, I'm sorry. I didn't know. We didn't know. Dr. Hayes persisted. We reached the van, a modified Honda Odyssey with a wheelchair ramp, which my mother had indeed gotten with a second mortgage. Jordan, please. Luke cried. Dr. Hayes efficiently assisted me into the passenger seat, collapsed the wheelchair, and put it in the rear. He started the engine and climbed into the driver's seat. Luke rushed toward my window, rapping on it. I looked at my brother, who I'd shared a bedroom with for 15 years, who had taught me how to ride a bike, who had been my best man at my wedding before the divorce, and who had just pushed me out of my wheelchair in front of our entire extended family because he thought I was acting. Jordan, please. I'm sorry. I lowered the window by 2 inches. I whispered, "You want to know the worst part?" Luke nodded frantically. "After my operation, I called you 3 times, left voicemails, texted you, invited you to doctor's visits, so you could hear the prognosis firsthand. You never answered, and you assumed I was lying without ever requesting evidence. Instead of thinking I was harmed, you chose to think I was a phony." I simply said, "No." I rolled up the window and remarked, "You didn't think." That's the problem. Dr. Hayes drove out of the driveway. The Northwestern Memorial Emergency Department was packed for a Sunday night. But within 20 minutes, Dr. Hayes had me in an exam room, guiding me through triage and speaking with Dr. Rebecca Martinez, the attending physician whom he apparently knew from medical conferences. My right knee's x-ray revealed a damaged lateral collateral ligament. On Wednesday, there would be another procedure, another setback in the lengthy, excruciating process of trying to regain some portion of my movement, another 6 weeks of recuperation. As we awaited the orthopedic specialist's analysis of the images, Dr. Hayes sat with me. "Why did you really come today?" I questioned. He remained silent for a while. "Because I've treated patients with spinal injuries for 27 years, he concluded, and I've watched families destroy themselves over it, watched them fracture, watched caregivers burn out, watched disabled patients get abandoned because it's easier to believe they're faking than to accept that life is random and cruel, and sometimes there's no villain to blame. So, you came to help me prove them wrong?" "I came to document the truth." He repositioned his glasses. The police complaint was filed Monday morning. What they do with that truth is their choice. But at least now they can't claim ignorance. Tuesday afternoon, Detective Luis Gonzalez of the Northbrook Police Department called me. He'd been with the department for 23 years, experienced in assault cases. "Mr. Thompson, I've reviewed the video evidence, Dr. Hayes' statement, the medical records. This is pretty clear-cut. Your brother pushed you out of your wheelchair, causing additional injury. That's aggravated battery against a disabled person. Class 2 felony. What happens now?" I asked. "We'll issue a warrant. He'll be arrested, probably arraigned within 48 hours. Given the circumstances and the video evidence, the state's attorney will likely press charges, even if you don't want to pursue it." I paused. I don't know what I want." "You don't have to decide now. But Mr. Thompson, families like yours, they don't change unless there are consequences. Real consequences, legal consequences." He was correct. I knew that he was correct. But Luke was still my brother. Luke was taken into custody on Wednesday morning and released on bond by Wednesday afternoon. On Thursday, I received a call from his attorney, a man from his gym who handled personal injury claims. "My client wants to apologize, wants to make this right. If you'd be willing to drop the charges." "I'm not pressing charges," I interrupted. "The state is. Talk to the state's attorney." "Right. But if you testified that it was a misunderstanding..." "It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was assault recorded by multiple cameras, witnessed by 45 people. There's no ambiguity here. He's your brother. He pushed me out of my wheelchair because he decided I was faking a disability. That's not brother behavior. That's criminal behavior." I ended the call. On Friday, the civil lawsuit was filed. Dr. Hayes had recommended Jennifer Wu, a 54-year-old Harvard law graduate who had spent 22 years specializing in disability rights. She sat across from me in her downtown office, overlooking the Chicago River. "We're suing Luke for battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress. But there's a larger case here." "What do you mean?" "Your Uncle Michael, your Aunt Rachel, everyone who participated in that chant," she explained. "They created a hostile environment. They conspired to harass and intimidate you. That's actionable under disability rights law. You want me to sue my entire family? I want you to send a message." Jennifer leaned forward. "I've dealt with hundreds of these instances, Jordan. Family members who believe the disabled person is faking mistreat them. It's more prevalent than you might think, and it nearly never ends well, since the disabled person is alone, financially reliant, and afraid of losing their support network. So they remain silent. She nodded. But you have something most of them don't. You have medical documentation. You have a surgeon willing to testify. You have video evidence. You have the ability to make this public, to change the narrative. I just wanted them to believe me. Jennifer's smile was piercing. They believe you now. Now, we make sure they never forget it. The story appeared on local news that weekend. Brother attacked disabled soldier at family reunion. Doctor recorded everything. By Monday, the video had gone viral. Not the entire thing. Dr. Hayes had removed Luke's and my faces, but enough. Luke's words, the chanting, the shove, the fall. It received 2.5 million views by Tuesday. It was covered by national news by Wednesday. By Thursday, Good Morning America was contacting me for interviews. I turned them all down. I had no desire to be well known. I wanted to be taken seriously. Luke's life collapsed long before his trial, which was scheduled for 5 months later. Within a week, he was fired from his job, a construction company that prided itself on workplace safety and accommodations for those with disabilities. Liability concerns, they announced. His girlfriend broke up with him, saying, "We can't have someone who abuses disabled people representing our company." His friends stopped calling. Everywhere he went, the video followed him. Eventually, he would Google his name and discover it in every job interview, dating profile, and new acquaintance he made. Luke Thompson, the man who pushed his crippled brother out of a wheelchair. 3 weeks after the reunion, my mother called me. "He's living in his car," she remarked, her voice flat. "Lost his apartment, can't find work." "Jordan, he's your brother. Can't you do something? Talk to the prosecutor. Ask them to drop the charges. Tell them it was a misunderstanding." "It wasn't a misunderstanding, Mom. He made a mistake. He assaulted me in front of 45 people while I was already disabled. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. So, you're just going to destroy his life? Your own brother." I gave that some serious thought. "No," I responded at last. "I'm going to let him experience consequences for his actions. There's a difference." Without saying goodbye, she hung up. For months later, the settlement was reached. Luke entered a guilty plea to aggravated violence, receiving 2 years of probation, community service, anger management classes, and a suspended sentence that would kick in if he broke his probation. The civil claim was resolved for $120,000, covering medical expenses, grief and suffering, future therapy costs, and punitive damages. Luke would spend the rest of his life repaying it. On the day the settlement was finalized, Jennifer Wu called me. "You won," she concluded. "Doesn't feel like winning," I admitted. "It never does. But you send a message to your family, to everyone watching, that disabled people matter, that assault has consequences, that you can't just push someone out of a wheelchair because you've decided their suffering is inconvenient. He's broke, homeless, his life is ruined." "He ruined his own life," Jennifer countered. "You just documented it." 6 months later, I happened to run across Luke. I was at physical therapy, the same outpatient facility at Rush where my cousin Caleb had allegedly seen me walking in the Jewel-Osco. Luke was waiting in the lobby, wearing a different shirt, thinner, and strangely older than me. When he spotted me, he got up, then sat down again. I wheeled over. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "Court-ordered community service," he said softly. "I volunteer in the rehab wing, helping patients with mobility exercises." I didn't know what to say. "That's good, I guess." "I meet a lot of people like you," Luke remarked. "People with spinal injuries, nerve damage, chronic pain. People who look fine on the outside but are fighting every day just to exist." At last, he turned to face me. "I'm sorry, Jordan. I'm so sorry. I didn't understand. I didn't try to understand. I just decided you were lying because it was easier than accepting that you were really hurt. I know. Do you? He asked, his voice broken. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I gave the question a lot of thought. The pain for 2 years. The family gathering. 45 people chanting for me to get up. Luke's expression when Dr. Hayes displayed the x-rays. The settlement funds that covered my future, my medical expenses, my customized van. My brother, who had beaten me, now lived in his car. I don't know, I responded at last. Ask me again in a year. Luke nodded. That's fair. A year later, Luke asked me again. I had moved to Evanston for specialized nerve stimulation treatment, and we were at a separate physical therapy clinic there. Luke had also relocated, had an apartment, was rebuilding his life piece by piece, and was now working as a paid help at the clinic. Do you forgive me? He asked. And I knew the answer this time. I forgive you for not understanding, for not asking questions, for believing I was lying without proof. I glanced at him. You pushed me out of that wheelchair, embarrassed me in front of our family, and chose cruelty over compassion. I don't forgive you for that. I doubt I'll ever be able to forgive you for that. Luke gave a slow nod. That's fair, too. But, I went on, I see you trying. I see you working with other patients. I see you learning. I see you becoming someone who understands what I've been living with. That matters. Does it change anything? It changes everything. You're not the same person who pushed me. I'm not the same person who got pushed. We're both different now. Better, he asked. Different, I said, starting to rotate toward the exit. But maybe different is enough. 2 years after the reunion, I received an invitation to speak at a disability rights conference in Springfield. Dr. Hayes had recommended me. The organizers wanted to know about my experience, about fighting back, about the value of documentation, and about family members who don't believe. I nearly declined. Then I thought about the people in wheelchairs who are currently coping with families that believe they're lying, who are subjected to the same suspicion, the same harshness, and the same loneliness. I replied, yes. It was a 20-minute speech. I told them everything. Luke pushing me, Dr. Hayes coming forth with evidence, the fall down the stairs, the surgery, the months of rehabilitation, the family reunion, and the aftermath. The room was quiet after I was done, and then there was clapping. The convention center erupted in thunderous applause as everyone, including those who were able to stand, stood up. Afterward, a woman in her 30s came up to me. She too was in a wheelchair. Multiple sclerosis, she stated. My family thinks I'm faking. They say MS isn't real, that I'm just depressed, that I need to try harder. Do you have medical documentation? I asked. 3 neurologists, brain scans, everything. Show them. Make them look. Make them understand that their ignorance is not your burden to carry. She broke down in tears. What if they still don't believe? Then you document it and you protect yourself, I answered. Because you matter. Your pain matters. Your disability matters. And anyone who can't accept that doesn't deserve access to you. She gave me a tight hug and clung to me for a while. As she withdrew, she remarked, "Thank you for fighting back, for showing us it's possible." 3 years after the reunion, my mother called. "The family wants to have another gathering," she said cautiously. "Thanksgiving. Small, just immediate family. Luke will be there. We're hoping you might come. Will anyone apologize?" I asked. Silence. I had that thought, Jordan. They feel terrible about what happened. Feeling terrible isn't the same as apologizing. Isn't the same as acknowledging what they did. Isn't the same as changing. Can't you just? No, I answered firmly. I can't just get over it. I can't just move on. I can't just pretend it didn't happen because it's uncomfortable for everyone else. They destroyed me in front of 45 people. They called me a liar and a con artist and a burden. They chanted for me to stand up. They filmed it and laughed. And now they want me to come to Thanksgiving like nothing happened. So you're saying no? I'm arguing that they should provide genuine apologies for specific offenses. Not just, we're sorry if we offended you, but I'm sorry, I chanted. I'm sorry I laughed. Everyone who took part owes me that. I'm sorry I called you a liar. I'm sorry I filmed you on the ground. I'm sorry I didn't help you. That's a lot to ask. It's the minimum to ask, I spoke steadily. I was also part of their family. They were meant to keep me safe. Instead, they assaulted me. They haven't changed if they are unable to take responsibility for it and offer an apology. Furthermore, I have no desire to sit at a table with individuals who believe that my disability is negotiable. Mom remained silent for a while. I'll tell them, she responded at last. 3 persons expressed regret. Out of 45, my Aunt Linda, not Rachel, but the aunt who had stood in the back sobbing during the chanting, sent a 5-page handwritten letter outlining her mistakes, their reasons, and the lessons she had subsequently learned. I received a card and a donation to the disability rights group I currently volunteer with from my cousin Lily, Caleb's younger sister, who was 16 at the time and hadn't taken part. And on a Tuesday afternoon, Luke unexpectedly showed up at my apartment, knocking on my door. He held a folder as he stood there. I've been working with Dr. Hayes, he stated, without introducing himself, learning about spinal injuries, nerve damage, chronic pain management. I've been volunteering at Rush for 2 years now, doing mobility exercises with patients, learning their stories. He extended the folder. These are letters from 12 people I've worked with. People like you, people I've helped. They all agreed to let me show you. I wanted you to see that I've changed, that I understand now, that I've spent 2 years trying to become someone worthy of your forgiveness. I grabbed the folder, but haven't opened it yet. Luke went on, his voice breaking. I'm sorry I pushed you out of your wheelchair. I apologize for leading the chant and for calling you a liar. I apologize for not believing you, for not questioning you, for letting my anger about your disability and how it affected Mom's life and our family turn into hatred, and for choosing cruelty over compassion. You didn't deserve that. You were already in pain, and I made it worse. I'm sorry. I looked at my brother, at the man who destroyed me, at the man who spent 2 years rebuilding himself. Come in, I said. We spent 3 hours discussing the reunion, the fallout, his time spent homeless, learning how to work with patients who have disabilities, seeing me and everyone he assisted, and truly comprehending what I had lost. He turned back to the door as he left. I don't expect you to forgive me, he replied. I know what I did. I know I can't undo it, but I want you to know I'm different now. Better because of you. You're different because of you, I said, because you chose to change. But Luke, don't make me your redemption story. Don't make my disability the thing that taught you empathy. That's not fair to me. Slowly he nodded. You're right. I'm sorry. That was your right. Following his departure, I opened the packet and read all 12 of the letters, all of which were from people Luke had assisted. Each one explained his understanding, tenderness, and patience. Each one was a tiny bit of proof that people can change, that cruelty need not be permanent, and that those who harm us can occasionally, though not always, become better. I could see Luke clearly now, but I wasn't sure whether I would ever be able to forgive him completely. Not as the antagonist in my tale, but as someone who had made a bad decision and had to live with the fallout for years. Someone who had caused me much pain and was making a sincere effort to improve. Perhaps that was sufficient. It might have been.